There are systems running in banks right now, processing millions of dollars per hour, written in a language from 1959. Nobody on the current team fully understands them. And the people who wrote them? Retired. Or gone. That's the COBOL problem. And it's been terrifying enterprises for decades. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. We now have AI that writes code nobody understands either. We solved one readability crisis and immediately created another one. A developer prompts GPT-4, gets 300 lines of working logic, ships it, and 3 months later, not even they can explain what it does. Unlegacy is trying to fix both problems at once. Same tool, same workflow. Whether your codebase was born in 1972 or generated by Claude last Tuesday. So what does it actually do? You point Unlegacy at a repository, COBOL, Python, Java, AI-generated spaghetti, whatever. And it reads through the code and generates structured documentation automatically. Not just comments. We're talking function-level explanations, module summaries, dependency maps, and plain English descriptions of what each section of the program is actually trying to accomplish. For legacy COBOL specifically, this is a genuinely hard problem. COBOL has its own syntax quirks, its own division structure, identification, environment, data, procedure, and decades of accumulated workarounds baked into production systems. Unlegacy parses that structure and produces documentation that a modern developer with zero COBOL background can actually read and act on. On the modern side, it handles the output of AI code generators. You paste in what Copilot or ChatGPT wrote, and Unlegacy adds the context layer that the AI forgot to include. Why this function exists, what edge cases it handles, what it assumes about the input. What surprised me was the framing. Most documentation tools treat this as a text generation problem. Write a docstring. Fill a template. Unlegacy is treating it as a comprehension problem. The system is trying to understand intent, not just syntax. Now, let's be direct about what it does not do. It does not refactor your code. It reads it and explains it. If your COBOL is a mess of gotos and hard-coded constants, the documentation will faithfully describe that mess. It won't clean it up. You still need a human or a separate migration tool to do the actual modernization work. It does not guarantee accuracy on deeply obfuscated or non-standard code. If someone spent 1987 writing COBOL that even COBOL developers found strange, the output is going to be uncertain. The tool works best on code that follows recognizable patterns, even old ones. It also does not replace architectural knowledge. Knowing what a function does is different from knowing why the entire system was designed the way it was. Business rules that live nowhere in the code, oral history, legacy decisions, those won't appear in the documentation because they were never written down anywhere. And one more thing, this is not a migration tool. You will not press a button and get Python out of COBOL. That product does not exist yet, despite what several vendor brochures claim. But here's what's genuinely interesting about where this could go. Right now, Unlegacy is solving the documentation problem. The natural next step is that documented code becomes trainable data. If you have a well-annotated COBOL codebase, you now have the foundation for fine-tuning a model that actually understands your specific business logic. Not generic code understanding, your payroll system, your insurance claim processor, your whatever was built in 1978. There's also a real opportunity in compliance. Financial institutions and healthcare systems are increasingly being asked to explain their automated decisions. If the code is documented at a function level, with plain English intent descriptions, that's a much shorter path to regulatory explainability than starting from raw source. And the AI-generated code problem is only going to get worse. Teams are shipping more LLM-assisted code every quarter. The documentation gap compounds. A tool that runs automatically in CI/CD pipelines, documenting code the moment it's committed, becomes critical infrastructure, not a nice to have. So why does Unlegacy exist at all? Because documentation is the part of software development that every developer agrees is important and almost nobody does consistently. It's boring. It's slow. It feels like a tax on shipping. So it doesn't happen. And then 3 years later, a new team inherits a system and has no idea how it works. With COBOL, the stakes are higher because the systems are older and the experts are disappearing. Estimates put something like 800 billion lines of COBOL still in active production globally. That code will not be rewritten overnight. It needs to be understood first. And with AI-generated code, the stakes are different but equally real. We are building technical debt at machine speed now. Unlegacy is making a bet that the documentation step can be automated well enough to actually get done. That's a humble goal, honestly. Not transform your codebase, not migrate you to the cloud, just make sure someone can read what exists. In a world where code is being written faster than it's ever been understood, that might be exactly the right problem to solve first. Next episode, we're looking at a tool that goes one step further. It doesn't just document legacy code, it tries to test it, automatically generating test suites for functions that never had any. Subscribe so you don't miss it.